Alright everybody, welcome back to some more Cobblemon adventures. It is I, Xilestar, and today I wanted to do something different. So I wanted to show off what I've been working on in the background. So I haven't really been working on it too much, despite the fact that it is July, and I told myself that I was going to do a lot of this work in July. So I haven't really done much. Mostly it's just planning out what I want and what I want to build out kind of thing. So, like, do I need, like, an observation deck here? Do I want to build, like, a painting gallery or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just playing around, like, what I want and what I want to put. So, here is what I have so far. So, here is Sancturia as it is right now. Excuse the height. I have shrunk myself down to 1 block. Yay. So, here is what it looks like right now. So this is the current up-to-date version. This is like modern day. So this is, what's today's date? July 14th, 2025 version of Sancturia. There's no old version or anything like that. This is the current version. So, there's not much that's different. Like here is the bedroom and stuff like that. It's very cool. They're all named differently. That's because of the inventory sorting mod that I have, which makes it based off of Terraria. I'm also going to get rid of the effect so you guys can actually see the effect as it is. So there you go. Unfortunately, the clocks don't really work properly, but I'll see if I can fix that later. But yeah, so pretty much that. Over here we have the cool armor that I made. Very cool. And over here, we have locked storage. Because I was actually able to finally do an area of effect of it to change. So that way, though, I actually did it for each and every one of these chests, apart from a few. The few being these two, which actually has a key inside that allows you to unlock all of these chests. So there you go. So yeah, so over here is our brand new board of stuff that this is sort of like the to-do board. So this is currently what I'm doing. So this is kind of a little bit, I don't want to say misleading, but this is sort of like you're not gonna know what this is. One of the channel anniversaries, I showed my Minecraft creation that sort of made me not be as creative anymore in terms of building Minecraft rooms and stuff like that. So this is the name of it. It's called Mount Ridge Dam. So instead of putting Mount, I would just put Ridge Dam. So I put Ridge Dam rooms. Now I'm not going to put them 1-to-1. I'm mostly just trying to see what they are, how big they are, and what their purpose was, and see if I can implement it into this area. Mainly for the sort of underground like areas, and I'll show you why I've said that. I've said it that way pretty much. So over here is just another like big giant storage area. Over here is the sort of like beds for guests kind of thing with a shower that without having any redstone to make it look more authentic kind of thing. The toilet, because of the little like thing right here, I think that looks more authentic than just having something like this, but eh. And then here's where you put your towel and stuff like that. I don't think you can put a carpet on there. Can you put a carpet on there? Oh, you can. But as soon as you right click. Oh no. Maybe in 1.12 I couldn't do it. Okay. Well, I'll do that, I guess. Yeah, so all these rooms are exactly identical, except for they're just like different orientations. So like the bed's on this side instead of this side. And the bathroom is the same thing, pretty much. So toilet, sink, towel rack, because there's not really a good looking one, and then shower. And same thing with all this. Over here was supposed to be sort of the master bedroom until I moved it all the way over there. Then this sort of just got changed into something. This is going to be something either different, or is this probably going to lead to the underground area, or one of the underground areas, I should say. And then we have the 2 drone ships over here, which do look really, really nice. I like them. And then we have the sort of surgical suite area. So this is where you would get your surgery if you were in near death kind of thing, just for realistic purposes. And then over here we have the infirmary. So this is where you would get, this is if you just need like some basic healing and stuff like that. I would probably throw all my healing potions in here. So yeah. So we're going to go up, then we're going to go back down, and then we're sort of just going to go start exploring around the area kind of thing. So I can show off what I've done. So we're going to go up. So we're going to go over here, which if we go down this little mini staircase, we go to a meeting room, which is supposed to have a map of, which is just supposed to have like a floor of maps kind of thing. So it's like you're above the world kind of thing. Just talking about, of course, the world that's underneath your feet kind of thing. I thought that would be a really cool idea. That's just a little sitting room area. And I guess I didn't put anything here. Sad. Some couches. And a parrot. Still don't know why you spawn everywhere that I don't want you to spawn, but anyway. So over here we have the couches. We have a little pool table over here. I could do the cool, interesting design of having pool cues and all that stuff, but I chose not to do that. A little bit of like a rack of some kind. You can put whatever you want here. Over here is a kitchen area with all of my food. As you can see, it has all my food and stuff. So yeah. And it even tells you like what's in there kind of thing. And even in here is just furnaces and all that stuff. So here's the kitchen. Here is... Oh, that doesn't have anything. I thought it did. Okay. I'm learning things. Learning new things. So here's the dining room. Very cool. I like it. I like the design. It looks very nice. I got the inspiration from a TV show I was rewatching, and I saw how they did one of the parties kind of thing, and I thought the table design looks really, really cool. So I chose this one. Then we have the 4 paintings over here, which are creative mode only if I remember correctly, so that's why these are here. Then more storage for like a wine or something like that, and like something like that kind of thing. And over here, just extra storage and stuff. Nothing too big or anything like that. And then you can go up here, and if you go up here, cool lamp. Over here, there's nothing here. Still don't know what I want to put up here yet. I might just put like maybe some chairs and stuff like that. I don't know. And over here is just a balcony that just shows you out here, pretty much. And then if we go outside and go around here, this just leads to an extra little storage room. So this probably doesn't need to be here anymore. This was because you can elytra your way in. So you can elytra over here, drop whatever you picked up kind of thing, and then elytra back out. But because this is a custom dimension in which you'll, anytime you want to come back here, you'll be spawning literally right there. I don't think this is really needed anymore. So I might keep it, I might change it something, or maybe I might change one of them into something else. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, but if we go down a level, specifically over here, then we go over here, we can go across, which will lead us to a little library area, which looks very, very nice. This is supposed to be a computer, so you can look up where your books are. It's kind of like saying, like, let's say you're looking for a book, you type in the book's title, it tells you, oh, it's in bookshelf A-2 or something like that. So you go looking here, you go, where's A-2, right? And you go, oh, A-2, and then here's the book, right? That's it. And then over here's just a little secret thing. There's nothing in there. Over here's like a little computer with a little bit of a meeting room area. Over here's a TV. I thought having the back as pumpkins would be pretty cool. I think I've made them as jack-o'-lanterns though, so there's light coming out of it. Thought that looked really cool. Over here leads to like a little garage area. Also, these are all command iron trapdoors, which they're always powered on. Even these ones are powered on, but they're powered on to the side, so that's pretty cool. And even up here, they're also powered, so pretty cool. Over here's another boardroom, but you can also technically call this like a, I don't know, maybe like a mini dining room table or something like that. I don't know. And then over here is like another little little laptop area or something like that kind of thing. Little office space Over here's a grandfather clock, which is very cool. Over here is a little boardroom, but this boardroom is supposed to be for the sort of the master of the area, which is what technically we are, which is where this computer is pretty much for. And here's Rosaria base from CircuitCraft, or from one of the versions, and here's another one. Anyway, yeah, and then there's some books in here that are, I think these ones specifically are from the story that we did with the latest one, and then over here is the teleportation book, which allows you to teleport to here, and all that other stuff. And over here is just any random different crafting things and just storage for other things and such like that. Like, this is just a giant assortment of things that we can end up doing. So, like, let's say I need a grindstone, I can just go plop this one down and move it somewhere else or something like that. I don't know. It's just something I can do, right? And then over here, we have a little bit of a laboratory where we can do anything. Here's like where we can do some cool scientific experiments on armor and stuff like that. And then how it's supposed to work is like if we get a new item. So because this is like, let's say 1.22, let's say this is a new item. And then we go, oh, what is this item used for? And we can, oh, it doesn't work. Oh, then we just see if something's pistonable. And then if it is, then we can, then it's like this actually like, oh, wait, it's not even in the right way. It's not even facing the right way. Oh, the observer's supposed to be facing this way. I guess it broke somehow. Or at some point it did. So I'll have to fix that. But yeah, but the observer's supposed to be facing this way. So it's supposed to look at the block and tell you like, and then you go to the little computer here, which is also broken for some odd reason, which is supposed to tell you like what that block is and what it's useful for. And you go, oh, that's pretty cool for that block, right? Then over here is storage for lab materials. Well, we are very tiny anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this area as well until we go downstairs. So let's go. So down over here, I think I've already mentioned this along a decent amount of times. This is where my portal room is. So this is where we have the end portal and the nether portals. Before anybody asks, no, you cannot actually make the portals in a custom dimension. You actually have to build them outside of the custom dimension. And then you have to place them here. So that's how that works. But technically, if you want to say this, technically this entire base can be built based around where a dungeon was, or where a stronghold was, where this could be the focal point, and then you build around that. So there's that too. There's that as well. Anyway, over here is where I keep all of my tools now, and we'll get to that later. Over here is where we see the giant area over here, and here's where Arcanix is, which is now filled with deadly radiation, so we should not go in there. But we will. We will go in there. It's just for the lore reasons. It's not actually like dangerous or anything like that. Like, oh my god, my character's gonna die. No, it's just because like this doesn't really need to be accessed anymore, so there's no point. But the lore reasons as to why this is actually blocked out or like nobody's allowed in is because it has like a deadly radiation, of course, that will pretty much kill anything that lives in its area. But the cool part about this radiation, or I guess you could say it's cool in a way. I don't know what you want to call it pretty much. But the interesting part about this radiation is that it doesn't go through walls, which means that like as long as this room stays enclosed as it is, there's no way of getting in or out kind of thing. Because there is no possible way for you to get in or out, you're fine. This room will be completely sealed off. And so what this actually blue thing is it's actually the portal that allows the vehicles kind of thing to be able to come in or out kind of thing. So Arcanix, in order for it to leave, it has to float up through this blue portal, which will allow it to appear in the overworld, in a sense. And then this green part, you might think is another portal, but you're wrong. It's not a portal. This actually keeps it stable, so it's not going to drop down, pretty much. And then the reason why there is Skulk in here is because is again for lore reasons. So the lore is that this thing has a very powerful generator that is always constantly running. Okay, it's always constantly running, but the only way that it can run is if it perceives that it's in constant movement. So as long as this thing thinks that it's going through the cosmos kind of thing, or in space kind of thing, it will constantly generate that power, which it uses to technically fuel the base itself. Mind you, there is no way of connecting it, but that's pretty much what this was supposed to do. These 6 thrusters were supposed to be connected to a pipe system that would that's technically what this is supposed to be, where these 6 are connected to the wall, they get pumped into here, and then this is what powers up the base. Obviously, that's not actually going to happen, because I'm not going to go redesign this entire area for it to work, but that's exactly what it is. And so, pretty much, this Skulk here is sort of the Minecraft equivalent of a giant computer monitor that is supposed to be sophisticated enough that it tricks the computers in here to think, oh, we need to move, so we're going to start trying to generate so much power. But that power gets quickly drained. So it's got to constantly keep generating power, but that power keeps getting drained, so it's got to keep consisting with that power. So it's got to generate power, but it gets sucked, so it keeps trying to generate that power enough to move, but that power keeps getting drained before it can even have a chance of, well, moving. So there's that. And that's what Arcanix is for. So yeah, so over here is going to be different. Right now it's just, it was going to be a room of some kind. I think I was supposed to make it into like a little like shipment crate room kind of thing that you would take whatever you wanted from Arcanix and place it here, but obviously I don't need that anymore. So I think I'm going to make this into another entrance to the cavern area, which will be pretty cool. Over here is the storage area. I don't think it really does much of anything. We also have the storage containers here. So I actually like what I've done with these storage containers. I'll see if I have the originals. Give me 1 second. I'll see if I have the originals somewhere. All right, so here is the version that's... Oh, these are cut off a little bit, but you get the point. So this is what we originally used, or what I originally used for the shipping containers. So as you can see, like this, like just think of this as like this one kind of thing. Like this is the door. That's what was on this one. I don't think this one had one, or it wasn't as inclusive as that one. Anyway, so this is what the shipping containers looked like. They were very basic, and you know what? I grabbed the model from somebody else, and I just changed the colors a little bit to fit like the 1.12 aesthetic, and I thought that would look really cool. And then I came up with like 3 different designs, and then I figured out that 2 of them were only dreamlike because they didn't really work in Minecraft. But I came up with this. So it uses concrete with the fences. The fences are what allow you to grab it, to grab it with like a forklift or something like that, because it has this. It has a little like bump for you to be able to like slide it a forklift under. I know a forklift has 2 prongs and not 4, but we're just going to ignore that kind of thing instead of me just using slabs, which ultimately would have been way better though. But I like the way that the fences look, so we're just going to use fences for now. But I like the way that this looks, and it looks way better. And I chose to use trapdoors as a way of being able to get in, so you can get in and do your normal shenanigans kind of thing, instead of going around and doing whatever. And obviously I was able to enhance it with an extra like level and stuff like that. So these ones are, I think they're the same height. Yeah, they're the same dimensions, except for I think they're like 1 block shorter. So they're not as long. So I think these are like 11. These are 10. Yeah, I think these are 10 and this one's 11. So that's like the only difference. I can actually find out. Hold on. I think that's how it is. I think that's how I made it. Yeah, see, so that's 11. These are 10. So that's the only difference. They're just slightly smaller. You could say, though, that, like, if I were to have made these 11, it would be way better than that. But that's not the way that these are supposed to look. So this is supposed to look like... So we're not going to count this because this is just the trim of the shipping container. So 2, fence, 2, fence, 2, fence. Like, that kind of thing. Well, I could put a 1 here kind of thing and just say, like, 3, fence, 3, fence, 3. Right? But, But I gotta say, though, I like this. Looks a way better. And I've done one for each and every different wood type, as you can see over here. So these are all the different shipping containers. So I have mangrove, I have acacia, I have, or acacia, I don't really care. Dark oak, spruce, cherry, white oak, or pale oak, sorry, not white oak, pale oak, and then the 2 nether ones, so the warped and the crimson. And then obviously I made bigger ones, because for certain areas I needed to make bigger ones. So yeah. So I'm going to go back to the world, and then we're going to show that off. Alright, so now that we're back into the world, let's continue onward. So this isn't actually supposed to be the floor, though. But I like it, so I might keep it. I'm guessing this got messed up somehow. Does that mean this one's also messed up? No, this one never got messed up. That's weird. So this one got messed up, but that one didn't. Weird. But yeah, but all this one was supposed to be like this block, though. Like, just normal deep slate like that. But now that it's got different deep slates. I might like it, actually. Over here is a little training area. So this is supposed to be like where, like, you would have, like, custom enemies kind of thing, like, appear so you can practice combat kind of thing. The idea was, like, it would have, like, a simulation kind of thing. But instead of doing that, I obviously just kept it empty. And then over here is your archery training. So what happens is that you fire here. And if you want to know if you hit it, it'll light up twice, because I don't know why it does the second one, but it does. And yeah, so there's that. Then more shipping containers. There's a lot of shipping containers. I just liked using this, and I just wanted it to be very colorful and not as well empty, pretty much. Then we have the 2 varicles over here. We have the original varicle that you will see in the Craft 1.16.5, or the 1.16 version. So that's what this varicle is. This one was sort of just using all the deep slate and dark oak and all that other such blocks kind of thing. Oh. Oh, well, that's not meant to be there. That's because I used World Edit. Alright. Over here is the forge area, so nothing really has changed here, except for the walls are different, but I kind of like it. I really like it. It looks really nice. Still deep slate, but it's just like different rotations. I like it. And over here is where you showcase your armors kind of thing. If you're like sort of like a salesman kind of thing, you go like, oh yes, this is where I keep my diamond armor, and then all that stuff. And then this is where you would where you would design your plants and go, this is gonna look really, really cool, right? And then you would use your auto smelting array over here, which I think is 15 blocks, I think. And obviously it gets sent over to this chest, which I've been testing a lot, so making sure it works. And plus those are also ores that actually did need to go through. And I think my minecarts disappeared. Yeah, they despawned. Not a problem. And then over here is where you would keep all your coal blocks, which is where I did. And I think over here also has some, I think. Over here, yeah. And then over here has some extra coal and stuff like that. And then over here is where you would have your nether wart. Although I will say one thing, though. Before I created Arcanix, well, not really created, but before I refitted Arcanix with what it has, I never knew this, but you don't actually need lava to be like right next to nether wart in order for you to actually get it to grow. I didn't know that. I'm not joking. I actually didn't know that. I actually thought you really needed lava near it. Because I thought it was just like every other crop where you needed well, instead of water, lava, right? But you need the water, so though the soil gets moistened kind of thing, and then you can be able to plant and it'll be able to grow. But no, in other words, you don't need that. You just need soul sand. That's it. It's interesting. And over here is like potions. And then here obviously is a infinite water source block. And by that I mean it's just one block, but it's infinite for water bottles, despite it looking very smaller compared to these. And I think this can flood? No. Okay. And obviously you have your brewing stand over here, which will have a hopper, which will take all the potions that you throw in there, but it's fine. And over here is where we keep Raza and Revacraft. So here is Revacraft. This was the first version I used. And I used it for a while until I started changing the base a little bit to kept on changing. And then when I changed the base to have the new engine design, which you will see from Xilestar base, which is over there, I ended up saying, you know what, for Revacraft, I'm going to go do the same thing. So I took what made that engine good, so this pretty much, and then I changed it. And then I kind of liked it. And then throughout the 1.14, yeah, I think throughout 1.14, I decided to change the roof so it's a little bit more sleeker and just more thin. So that's exactly what I did here. So it looks more thin and it looks really, really good. I really like it. And then I think I might have stashed something up here, maybe? No, I thought I did. Or maybe I did on my own time, I don't know. And then over here, there is nothing. And then over here is my giant storage room. This actually got changed, so instead of having the central tower being the one where you would have everything being like your way of going up and down, I chose the scaffolding method. So you can go here and you can go, oh, I want to go into this chest, or I want to go into this chest, or this chest, or this chest, that kind of thing. Obviously, all of them are locked, so you won't be able to do it. But yeah, the only thing is that, like, I think for when you go up here, I think you won't die, but you'll take a lot of damage. So let's see here. Yeah, you won't die, but you'll be pretty close. But that's pretty much it for that area. It's pretty much Arcanix is emptied, or got its entire inventory is emptied, and most of it got sent here. I think some of the stuff got sent into there, and then all the food got sent up to the kitchen, and then pretty much everything else got scattered around the base kind of thing. I think most of it ended up there. Obviously, all the tools and armors, I think, ended up in there. And then all which way kind of thing, everything got sort of shuffled around. So over here is where, as I said, Xilestar base. So this isn't the version I want here, because while I was initially running around with Cobblemon on my first ever run-through kind of thing of it, while I was testing around, I actually made a version of this that actually has all the barrels facing outward. So pretty much all these barrels, yes, all these barrels are looking like this. So you're seeing it from this point of view, right? And I think that looks a lot better than just seeing it like all screwed around like this, because it doesn't really look good. And maybe I changed it on the bottom? Did I do anything interesting with the bottom part of here? No. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I did. I just changed it all. So all the barrels now look like you're seeing the bottom of it pretty much. Just looks a lot better in my opinion. But yeah, but nothing really happens in here. And again, the whole lore thing as well, like this keeps it floating up kind of thing. This is how it gets in. And then obviously for Minecraft purposes, this nether portal allows it to easily pass through kind of thing. The nether portal is how it gets in and out. And then the same thing with these two. Right, so these two are the same thing. Yeah. I'll explain how these two work, or how they get around. But yeah, then over here, we also have the sort of like the climate control center, and stuff like that. You may have noticed, but I will go into more detail of this, but this actually controls like the temperature of the different areas as well as everything else in between, right? So one controls the temperature, one controls like the weather, or the not yeah, one controls the weather, one controls the temperature of the area, one controls the water temperature and the water clarity, which is what this does. So you can see the water color and you can go, okay, we're going to change the water color, and then you go, oh, okay, looks pretty good. And then obviously one's about, I think this one here is about communications. And then I think this one pretty much prevents people from leaving, if I remember correctly. There might be another one there might be another thing that I'm forgetting. Or one of them is about, or maybe this one's about communications and making sure people don't leave because something, right? And then this one's something else, I can't remember. I'll have to properly label them later. And these are supposed to be filled with like gold, diamonds, and emeralds and stuff like that, but I want to put them as different colored liquids. I think that would be pretty cool. And then there's nothing really too much else over here. And so I'll show you what I'm talking about, the area. So as you can see, we're actually enclosed in an area with a sculk ceiling. And over here we have the tree. Excuse the glitchy flower petals. For some reason, there is a mod that I don't know which one it is. It's a mod or it's a resource pack that I can't figure out which one it is. Despite all of my testing, that for some odd reason, it makes the moss carpet spread around. And I don't know what it is. I have like looked into every mod that I have, and I have tried to disable every one of them, and nothing. I've even tried looking into the resource packs and disabling all of them but Minecraft, and again, it is still present, so I don't know what it is. But it's there. All of these are now actually usable. So now I have some of my bees in here. I don't have them all out, but like, yeah, and then I have this as my bees. So I think this is the one I was emptying out for all this stuff. So yeah, so I want the tree to have bees. This is supposed to be for a parrot, which is supposed to be more so for a warning system that tells you that you're getting close to the tree. Be careful of what you do, because the tree actually has guardians. Did they appear? There you go. Yeah, for some odd reason, these guys don't like to appear sometimes, but they do sometimes, so that's good. So yeah, so these are the tree guardians, pretty much. So the lore of this tree is that it's like the last living tree of a special type of sapling, pretty much. And because it is the last tree, the tree came up with a defense system that has these organic beings to wander around. So if you have evil intentions of chopping down the tree, these things will attack you. They don't care if you're looking at them or not, they will attack you. And that's kind of what these guys actually end up doing. But they look really cool. I really like them. Although I shouldn't have put them down here because we haven't done anything with 1.21.4. But you know what? I like them. They're really cool. And over here is where I'm gonna have my sniffer area. So here's how you get the sniffer eggs to sort of like hatch faster, kind of thing. And then over here is where you would get your sniffer items, obviously. So like when your sniffers are out here doing their business, because mud is one of the blocks that they can actually do. And one of the cool things about mud is that you can have hoppers underneath, and that hopper will actually take those items and will actually dispense them around and shoot them all the way over there, kind of thing. That's what every one of these mud blocks has a hopper that will pretty much try and maneuver its way over here, where it will send it to those two large chests. And that's pretty much what it does. And then over here is a little campsite that will lead you to further underground, which I will get to in a second. And then over here is a little pond. And then over here, nothing really too much else to say over here. Some of these areas, you'll see that they have light. This area in particular has a few dark spots, like as you can see here, and I think over here as well. The reason why these actually have light spots is because I use shroom lights, because I just want the land to be a little bit bright, but not too bright kind of thing. Even though no enemy mobs can spawn here, like no creepers, no skeletons, no zombies, because first of all, the biome doesn't allow it. But also in case I accidentally remove the biome, even if it has one to replace it, they still won't spawn. So, yeah. And the cool thing about this entire area as well, so yeah, there's nothing over here except for this tunnel that's over here. Actually, oops. The tunnel system that's over here actually leads you somewhere. So that's going to be pretty cool to look at. And yeah, there's nothing over here, pretty much. And here's one of my first bases in Minecraft. I actually moved it over here. And here's a little waterfall. Then here's the little thing. And then that's where the dining room is. And then that's where the kitchen is. So it comes full circle. Then here's a thing. And here's a little driveway. So like you can move like a car that was like parked here kind of thing. You can drive it over to this area, which these fences are supposed to technically move up, and then you can like go into here and you can do maintenance on it. Then you can run around. Then you can drive your vehicle back here, and you can park it here or something like that. And it's also supposed to be for spaceships too, so that's pretty cool. And there's some Malays over here. I'll explain why there's some Malays over here. I was mostly just testing around stuff. Okay, so those two varicles, so how they actually work, and I completely forgot about this area. I can fix this. Anyway, so how those two varicles actually work, and how they actually get out, pretty much, is very, very simple. So, look it down here so it's easier to explain. Mind you, going spectator would be making it much easier, but it would kind of spoil things, so let's not get to that. But pretty much, there are these two portals here. There's one back here. We don't need that open. There's the portal that's back here. Just ignore the trapdoors. And there's the one over here. So, when Varicle needs to leave, let's say for lore reasons, I want to take the old one because I like the classic. So what I would do is I would go in there, and then technically we would drive. We would drive it through this portal, which, since this one will start detecting movement, it will turn on this portal, and it will actually send us over to... just going to use this just for simplicity, just to get us over here. There we go. So it'll send us over to here. So we'll go through this portal. So right when Varicle starts going over here, it will start turning on this portal, because obviously we are driving through. Now what happens is that once Varicle is completely passed through, it will start touching these two observer blocks. Which again, these... no, I think this is correct, because it's supposed to be like a laser beam kind of thing. So once once it hits these, this will tell this portal to stay open. Varicle is still, or any vehicle kind of thing, is still going through. So once Varicle is completely passed through, these won't turn off this portal until, let's say, 2 seconds after it has not detected any movement. Whereas this one will actually turn it off. And the same idea with Varicle coming back. Varicle has a button it clicks to turn on the portal, so Varicle goes through. And of course, these two will set off that, oh, Varicle's coming back in, so then this portal will appear. And then once Varicle is missing from here, it will start hitting to these blocks. I think from that top observer to that top observer, I think that's the total length of Varicle. I can be wrong. It might just be like the block before it kind of thing. But pretty much once Varicle starts going past this portal to appear down there kind of thing, this will sort of like still tell like the portal to stay up, while this one won't detect anymore, so this portal will disappear. But in case you're wondering, what if a different vehicle shows up? Well, that's what technically there's supposed to be some security cameras on in here, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. But those security cameras are supposed to actually point and look into what the vehicle is. So, while yes, if a vehicle were to follow Varkle, let's say hauling behind him, and sort of like trying to keep up with it, and let's say Varkle goes past, and let's say these cameras catch that vehicle and go, hey, that's not supposed to be here, it'll actually turn off the portal. And so the car will just be stuck in here, kind of thing. And then it will sort of be force ejected out, pretty much. Anyway, I think that's it for this entire area over here, until we talk about the little meat and guts of this top area before we go inside, pretty much. So each and every one of these levels has a different block that is actually representative of the ground. So the bottom area over here is Podzol. All of it is Podzol. It's either moss or Podzol, pretty much. The moss is just for the outside, so it looks like it's a clean area, whereas the inside area is Podzol. So I'll get rid of this block. You'll see Podzol. There we go. Then once you get to a certain stage, I think it's like up to here kind of thing, we will get grass. And then once we reach to a certain stage, I think it's like close to up here, we get mycelium. And that's it. And then at some point I had a sheep spawn in here, and I thought it was really cool because I thought they actually worked. Then I found conflicting evidence where it said like mobs can spawn on moss carpet. It is the only carpet type that mobs will spawn on top of, so I thought, hey, that's amazing. And then nothing would spawn, and I thought that was really confusing. Then I found a different article that told me that mobs don't spawn on moss carpet because it's a carpet. So I was confused. Then, when I came over here, I didn't notice this block, by the way. I came around here, and I saw a sheep spawn, and I'm like, oh my god! So it does spawn on moss carpet, kind of thing. So then I look around, and then I found this block. So then once I deleted it, the sheep didn't have a way of spawning, so then I killed it. Then I put the block back, and I have yet to find another one. So, yeah, I kind of ruined that. Anyway, we're going to go back over here so I can show you exactly what is going on over here. So, we'll go into my first base. Technically, we can use this dirt path. I thought this was really cool. This is just a smaller version of this, but just looking cool. I just like it. This just looks really nice. And the block palette was my design. I didn't really take inspiration from anybody. I just really liked it. So, yeah. So over here, we're going to ignore that for a second. We're going to go in here. So this is my first base. This is my beta 1.2 base. So this was back when I first ever played Minecraft. So this is the base. I think some of the double doors, I think when I noticed, yeah, some of them are broken. I'll fix them. I know what they were supposed to look like, and even if I don't, I can still go in that world, so it's not that big of a deal. But this is because of Amulet, right? Like Amulet doesn't like doors nearly as much, or something like that. It's either a combination of Amulet or it's Amulet and MC Edit doesn't like it. But yeah, I like this area. This was just supposed to display storages, because I thought that they were gonna add it so that like we don't need we can actually put a block above and then we can right click. Nope, that never happened. So yeah, that never happened. And over here is the underwater thing. This was a challenge to put, because this actually I have to like start cutting into the area. I think I did a decent job at it, but yeah, this is like not a very good looking thing, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then over here is the original bed that I made. Very cool. This is untouched, by the way. I'll only touch the doors, but that's just because like this doesn't look good. Yeah. My first note block, and then some more chests and stuff like that. Yay. Alright, now we're gonna go and take a look at this That's right, I gotta leave through the wind door that's over here. Oh, this is the only one. This is the only part that you'll actually see grass on the outside as well as dirt. So you'll probably notice, though, that there is no dirt on the outside anymore. It's all mud blocks. Is it... Wait, is it mud blocks or mud brick? Packed mud. So it's all packed mud. That's by design, and it looks like some of them have not changed. Or I completely forgot about that. I will fix that. Either that, or when I was building when I was putting in the terrain of the inside area over here, I didn't properly go through it. So yeah, so here's the inside, and this is actually different from what I actually originally had. So obviously the block palette is way different though, but this was actually the area in which that I was actually going to go through and put light blocks around to create an ambiance of the inside kind of thing. Then I found out that you can actually create a natural ambient lighting. It doesn't affect light levels. It just makes it so you can actually see in the inside. So pretty much you can actually see inside the cave instead of having a dark area. So yeah, so instead of me having like a very dark area where you go, wow, I can't even see like the hand that's in front of my face kind of thing, you can now see. Even though there's like low berries though, you still couldn't see in there. And then obviously all the pillars are now polished basalt, which looks really cool. I like it. And then over here, I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so obviously this is like where the storage room is. There's nothing really too special about it. If you've seen Arcanix's storage room, it's the same. And then obviously this is where the varicles are. Very cool. Over here is, I think this is where the room is. I think the room that I'm going to turn into leads you into the underground area. I think that's where that is. Either that or it's below here, which there are two ways you can go. You can either jump down. I think there's a water placement. No, there's not a water placement. Or you can use this scaffolding, which is over here. Obviously, I would recommend the scaffolding. So you'll end up over here. And there's a cool lava pool over here, which burned down all the tall grass that ended up growing here. That's wonderful. And then over here, we have 2 amethyst farms. So these two are supposed to be for you to be able to actually go and get like amethyst for personal usage. So let's say you want to make a spyglass. These are the amethysts you would use. Although there is another farm over here, which its main sort of task, I guess you could call it, is mainly just so that like you can breed this allay, so you can duplicate it, so that it will actually be able to get more allays, and that's what that one's goal is. And also over here, we have like a giant pool area. There was a lot of axolotls here a few days ago, and I actually kind of liked it. And over here is the geode that I originally had in Sancturia, which was like connected to that top area over there. And this was actually pretty cool. I liked it. And then if we go back here, this leads you further down into the tunnel system, which we will go to later. There's a few tunnels here. So majority of this terrain, if you do not know, some of it might look familiar, but other ones might not. If you've ever watched Hermitcraft Season 9, I think, yeah, Hermitcraft Season 9, pretty much that's where a majority of this cavern interior comes from. So all of this cavern interior comes from different areas of that world, pretty much. And I chose that because I liked some of the areas when I was watching it. And when I was going through the biome itself, I found some really cool looking areas. So I decided to go and pick and choose a few that I liked, and then I chose it. So there was obviously going to be one that was going to be with the lush caves, and this was supposed to be for the Xilestar Sanctuary, which was supposed to be connected through here. So here's the Xilestar Sanctuary. I'm going to put a top layer like a top cavern layer over here, which is going to make this look a bit more natural looking. And then I'm going to make sort of like a pillar, maybe like protrude up from here to go up to the top here. And that will sort of be your way of going from the bottom area over here to the top area over here. Just so though there's not like just a giant open area and then you just got a giant flat wall, which is where Canix is. Past this wall is Canix. So instead of just having that, we'll just have like a giant like concave thing going in kind of thing. That'll be pretty cool. And over here is my trial chamber. This was sort of handcrafted by me, using the trial chamber pieces that are built into the actual game. So all of these is actually, so pretty much this entire area is technically vanilla. My bad. This is all technically vanilla. So each and every one of these pieces, even the spawners, even the vaults and even the ominous vault, is all natural. It's all within the base game. The only thing that I did is that I just built this room. That's pretty much all it is. I think I might have made changes to this upper area, maybe, I think. But yeah. And before anybody says, can this be reset? So if I were to open up all these vaults, can these be reset? Yes, it can. So in my data pack, I actually added a sort of a system that allows me to be able to reset it. So there is a button over here that if I right click it, you'll see that it changed these blocks. That's because this is built before these changes. So that's why that is there. But this actually does change this back to what its original state was. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I put dirt path because the breeze over there is causing too much mayhem kind of thing. And if I right click this button, we shouldn't see that path anymore. It's resettable. And that is actually a part of the design that I wanted for this area. It's a dungeon that can be constantly resetted over time. Obviously, I want it to be able that only I can reset it, but obviously that's not possible, so we're just going to leave it like that. Anyway, that's that. This is just a weird tunnel system that leads to nowhere. Although I can put some storage in here, so that way we can store some trial chamber stuff. Trial chamber goodies. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For this area, I think there's not really too much else. There are these little random, like tunnel systems, I think. Yeah, these don't do anything. But they will later on, so that's good. So that's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to put some cool things down here kind of thing. I like the tunnel system. I like the block palette. I like the random one I chose. It looks really good. Although I don't like how it did most of the ones in there, though. That was not intentional, but you know what? It's fine. It kind of works. It kind of slaps. I really like it. We'll go over here. We'll go over here. Yeah, so Axel will spawn naturally. I'll make this look more natural. If anything, I'll just grab a world and see if there's a tunnel system that looks exactly like that. Although I will be copying that tunnel so I can actually get the proper dimensions and stuff like that. But the idea is very simple. It's supposed to be like a natural tunnel system that allows you to go down and loop around over there kind of thing. So we get to the dripstone cave. This might be a little bit, I think, more recognizable if you've seen some of the videos. I can't remember whose area it was, so I apologize for that. But yeah, this might look a bit more like recognizable because it was pretty much a big focal point for their videos kind of thing. And then over here is where I said that tunnel actually leads you to the underground area. So yeah. So this actually doesn't do anything, unfortunately. I don't know what I want to do with this area yet. But what it was supposed to be was like, if you go in here, this was supposed to be where the glow squids were supposed to spawn. I can't get them to spawn because apparently sea level doesn't really work for flat worlds. So I have to sort of make this spawn as a flat world and then change its parameters so though it doesn't continue acting like it. Yeah. And then one thing I got to do is I want to make sure that this appears more flowing instead of like the bowl shape that it technically is. But yeah, it's got to be more flowing down over here. I don't know. And over here, I got to make sure that this staircase actually does fit better. But yeah, and then obviously there's some pillars in here that are not polished basalt. But you know what? Still on my to-do list. But these are actually meant to be dripstone. Because these are meant to be dripstone caves. So yeah. Over here, is it this bottom area? No, it's not this bottom area. It's above. So it's above over here. Yeah, this can be a pillar too. If we go to over here, which I originally made when I was tiny, but then I changed it when I was bigger. This is just another cavern system, which can loop around. Yeah, so it does loop around, so we can go over here, and then go up over here, and then it's over here, then we can go up here. And then this will lead you to a new area I created, which is my, this is my dripstone water farm. And this is obviously where you have it stored, which apparently you can actually access, which I probably should patch that out. Anyway, so I'll go over here so you can see like this is where we were. So you can tell like when the cave starts and when the building ends kind of thing. And that's kind of what I want to do for each and every way. But yeah, so over here, if we go over here, we are actually going to be in my new alchemy room, which I got to say looks amazing. I think I outdid myself here. So I was looking on pretty much mostly every website. I was looking at everything, trying to take inspiration, and nobody had a cool looking area that I actually liked. And nobody had anything that looked very looked really good. Like looked like something that would go, wow, I want to add it to my base. Like nobody had cool looking furniture, cool looking like different storage options. As you can see, like I chose my new barrel array. I like it. I like the look of it. And obviously like the bookshelves and stuff like that. Like I like this. That's just for light, by the way. Or that's just because like lava looks cool. And I can also make it be for light too. But yeah. That's just because lava looks really cool and I like the coloring of it. Looks really nice. And here's where all my nether wart would be in. Stuff like that. And here's where all my potion ingredients are. And then here's where you would have a nether portal, which would lead you to the nether. Which obviously I don't have anymore. Or I don't have it enabled. For obvious reasons. And here's where milk is. So you can get rid of potion effects. Yeah, and over here is another axolotl area. Yeah. And that's pretty much all of like this area. Pretty much the idea is that like you should be able to go from any of the entrances. There's only 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, there's 4. Yeah, there's 4 entrances. So it doesn't matter which of the 4 entrances you go to. You should be able to go to any which area, which means that I should be able to start from this area, let's say, or well, this doesn't have an entrance, but let's say that area over there, and I could be able to loop from this way to over here, or loop from this area over here, or even go from this back area and then be able to go all the way around over here to be able to come back here, even though there is a much shorter way, but that's not the point. The point is that like you're supposed to pretty much have a tunnel that goes 360, that goes around the inside of the cavern area. And that's pretty much what it's supposed to be. Anyway, so let's go back up, because I kind of have to. While I go and show off this area over here. And when I do the channel the channel anniversary video, I will have download. Well, I won't have download links. It's not what it's meant for, but it's sort of like the links that links to the creations that I used to be able to get the idea for this, right? And if you want the biomes and stuff like that, I wish I saved the coordinates of the areas from the Hermitcraft world. Just know that they are in the Hermitcraft, like, Season 9 world. I kind of wish I kept this sort of like the coordinates of each area so I can properly show it off. But yeah, and that's just for random. It's just random stuff. Probably because, like, I was testing the trial chamber, and then over here was supposed to. This was supposed to do something, and then I completely changed my mind on it. And we'll get to that tunnel later. So over here, this I was happy for. So this is my underground tavern area. So I want to mention two things about this area. For one, this entirely wasn't really my design necessarily. So the idea was, like, I found a build online that was a barrel keg that was a tavern, and I thought that looked very perfect. I would just make it underground, and it would look amazing. It wouldn't fit in this area. So I chose some elements that build had, and I chose to put it in here, which is mostly just the furniture, and that's pretty much it. And over here is Edward. Hi, Edward. He is a wandering trader that is persistent with no AI, and he also does not talk. Now, he's not meant to have an inventory or a trade menu, but he does, so we're just going to accept him for what he is. He's not meant to have one. He's just meant to be here just as a placeholder to be as a barkeep, because I would put a villager here, but I think that the wandering trader looks really good. And look at that. He's got a button here. It doesn't do anything. But in the lore of the area, you would have to say, like, a certain password, and he would click the button, and you would be able to go back here. Oh my word, man! We just jumped through the painting! And it's doors too, so which means that, like, I can actually block it off, so nobody else can get in here. But there's another way to get in here anyway. So we can go in here, and we go to over here. So we'll get to this area later. So we're going to go talk about this area. So over here is where all of my farming storage is. With lag, apparently. With a little bit of lag. So here's where all my bone meal is on this wall. Do I need all this bone meal? No, but it's here. And then all the ones that have colors and obviously say the item, obviously, that's where that item would be in. All these blank ones are for future plants that we can grow and stuff like that. So over here is where beetroot is. Over here is wheat seeds and beetroot seeds. And over here is for carrots. Oh, I guess that's where wheat is, but I guess I didn't change the sign. Whoops. I'll do that when I can. And obviously over here is potatoes. Over here is cocoa beans. Over here is glowberries, sweet berries. Not that I need that. Pumpkin and melon seeds, and then pumpkin and that. And then the mushrooms. And then sugarcane and cactus and blah, blah, blah. And then over here, we have the hose that I made specifically for farming back in when we were using Rosaria base. And then over here is the interesting part. So over here has the owner key card. So we're just going to mention that. Over here, we have a wooden pickaxe, which is for that. And over here is shears. I thought... Was it a wooden pickaxe? I thought it was a stone pickaxe. Anyway. Maybe it was a stone pickaxe and I completely forgot. So over here is where I've been storing all my farm stuff. And over here is my auto-sorting array for all of my farming goods, which will be completely revamped when I get a chance, pretty much. So yeah, so pretty much this entire area is going to be completely revamped. But I have to figure out how I can do it. before I say it's going to be done. So pretty much this entire area is going to be on this wall instead. And instead of one barrel, it's going to be double chests. So double large chests pretty much instead. But they're going to be grouped together. I think all of these can be grouped and nobody would bat an eye. Yeah, because I can group these two together, group these two together, group these two together, these two, and then these two. And nobody would bat an eye if I group them as twos. This will just be like one single one kind of thing. And so pretty much that will be all across the wall over here. Now, for the final one, which is supposed to be for bone meal, I don't know how I'm going to do this one. I got to figure out if there is a way that you can do it. So the idea for bone meal is like, it's supposed to be able to accept all of these because all of these can be used to make bone meal apart from one block or one item, bamboo. Because if I go looking over here, more than likely, bamboo has clogged the system. What a shocker. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then over here, we have the different kinds of farms. So we have the cow farm over here, which is just the single one block that like you have the little water thing. So the cows are bobbing up and down, and then you can breed them kind of thing, and then you can kill the parents and stuff like that. And then all their stuff will be sent to here, and then will be sent to this barrel, blah, blah, blah. And then you can store the stuff in here. And the same idea with the sheep, and then the pig. And over here is sheep. But this is actually a really cool thing. So this area is actually supposed to be for sheep so that we can auto-shear them. So that way that we can shear them so we can get all the different color of wool. So all of the redstone you'll see here is where the different color of wool is supposed to be. Now all of these colors of wool get sent to this barrel right here. And then you can sell it off or whatever kind of thing. And that's pretty much what this area over here is supposed to be for. Over here is the chicken farm. So over here is the auto chicken cooker slash breeding thing. So that you can get the chickens to be able to burn inside this cauldron with lava in it. And then they will burn, and then they will obviously give you their cooked chicken and stuff like that. So this is a new version. This isn't the one that I used in 1.17. This one was one that I found that was actually more modern kind of thing. And I liked it. It's really good. Over here is a goat. So this is just a very simple thing where you somehow get a goat inside of here. And the idea is that you get the goat to kind of lunge at you onto this stone wall, which is the most natural looking block in here, that a goat's horns will be dislodged. So you can actually go get the goat horn. And that's pretty much what this is for. Over here's the armadillo for the armadillo scoot, pretty much. So you get an armadillo over here, and then you pretty much just click this. And the idea is that it'll constantly grab a whole bunch of armadillo scoot, and then you just do this, and then you turn it off. And obviously it works because obviously I have armadillo scoot in here, which I will delete before the next version. Over here's a rabbit farm, which I think the original design for this was originally designed for Bedrock Edition rather than Java Edition, which is what I use. So, yeah. So I changed it so it works with Bedrock, or works with Java, sorry, not works with Bedrock, works with Java. So now it works. And you know what? It's fine. It does its job. I mean, like, it gives you rabbits. It gives you cooked rabbit. So it does its job. Anyway, over here is where I have a chicken over here, which is currently Cluckles, which is giving you eggs. Good job, Cluckles. Keep doing Lord Cube's work. And over here is a recent addition I made. This is the most backwards logic that I could ever think of, but you know what? It works. I've tested it myself. It works. It might not be the most efficient one. There might be a better way of putting it. But yeah, so over here is my villager breeder. This is probably the most thing that like people will probably say, what were you cooking? And it actually works. It does its job. It might not be the best thing, but yeah. So the idea is like when you're starting in, you would have a zombie in here that would change any of the villagers into zombie villagers, and over here allows you to be able to push the villager out, pretty much. So pretty much to start this, what you need is you need 2 villagers over here. They both need to be in minecarts, so though like this can actually work. So what happens is that when you flick this lever, these two observers will constantly fling out bread for the villagers to be able to breed. And pretty much the idea is like both of the villagers will go, hey, look, you got bread. I want to, do things with you. And then all of a sudden, a baby villager will appear. Now, when the baby villager goes, ooh, a bed, it will go down here. But there will be a minecart waiting for it. So before you do it, you would do this. So there's a minecart waiting for the baby villager. And then when they jump down, they will jump and they will be right into the thing. And then you would just pretty much go in and then you would like push the baby villager so that they get stuck over here. And you would wait until they grow into an adult. Once they are an adult, of course, you would flick this lever. You would flick this lever, so that now it's going to this way. And you would click this button, which will send it over to here, which will allow the zombie to infect the villager and then pretty much kill it and then turn into a villager zombie. Then you flick this lever, and then you have to give it a little gentle push. And then you would pretty much have it over here. Then you would click this button to inflict it with weakness, and then you right-click with a golden apple, and then it turns into a normal villager again with trades. What backwards logic this is. I kept trying to look for different farms, and the only thing that I would change with this is that I would make this one, I would elevate this entire array 1 block higher. So that way though, like like some area is raised specifically for this button. I feel like this button being raised would fit a lot better than it just being like this, but you know what? It works. It functions, it's good. So the area that's back here has 2 different ways of going. So you can go up here, which is supposed to be the more like customer route, or you can go towards the employee entrance, which is down here, which leads you to over here. So here's where the customer entrance goes. So the customers would go up the stairs over here, go over here, and go, wow, this place looks really cool, right? And then they would go down and they go, wow, this is pretty cool. So over here is where we would sell the different types of cows, the different temperatures. So the warm, the temperate, and the cold. Or the hot, the temperate, and the cold, I think, or something like that. Same thing with the pig. And then because sheeps don't have that, it's just different rarity of the colors kind of thing. For the natural colors kind of thing. We're just not going to worry about that. And then over here we have goats. So this is where you would find all the goats kind of thing. You would breed a goat, and then you would take one of the goats out, and then you would send it over through the employee entrance. You would sort of like shuffle them along over here, where you would then send the goat into the area. Then you let the customer go and take the goat for whatever reason kind of thing. I don't know. So yeah. And same thing with over here. This is wolves. I don't think that the wolves in here will be too disturbed with the sheep that are over here. But yeah. And then over here is where the striders will be. Because I think that having striders in here would be pretty cool. And then parrot. I'm going to talk about you in a second. So over here is where you would go and purchase the animals. So this is going to be like where an office goes, and you go, oh yes, you want to purchase a wolf? It's like, okay, let's go. That'll be 3 gold ingots, and then you just give them the gold ingots, and then the employees will do it. Then this was supposed to be for something, but I don't remember what it was supposed to be. Okay, so let's talk about parrots for a second. So over here was going to be my parrot sanctuary, where people can come around and they could be able to breed the parrots that they want. So this was supposed to have 2 of each color, so that if you wanted a blue one, you can guarantee a blue one. You want to know what mob that can be sort of, I guess you could say domesticated, that cannot breed? Parrots! So, guess what happened? So pretty much, like, I was so angry when I found that out. I was trying to right click with seeds and they weren't breeding, and I was like, that's kind of weird. Why aren't they breeding? Parrots can't breed. So I killed all the parrots that are there, and then I changed it so the parrots can spawn on the island. You want to know what's really funny about that? They spawn on any kind of leaf block and wood block. So pretty much they can spawn pretty much anywhere on the island. And then this was a test to see if mushrooms would spawn down here. And they didn't. But I like the mycelium. It looks really nice. So I like it. And this can also be for my, like, my mushroom farm as well. And then over here just leads you back down here, which, as I said, is the tunnel, which we'll talk about later. And yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah, there's nothing really too much else to really say about this area. I really liked it. And yeah, so you're probably wondering, where are these farming materials coming from? Well, that's a good question. We need to go to the back area over here. So this is where they all get shuffled along. They all get shuffled along through this water canal over here. So let's go backwards. So let's go to where they're coming from. So we go through this little water channel, which has copper trapdoors because it looks really cool. And makes it look like more of an authentic pipe kind of thing. They get sent from over here. Which gets sent from over here. Don't know how you got stuck there, but it doesn't matter. You're going to be gone anyway. So over here is where all the items get sent. Pretty much. Down here, we have one minecart with hopper that goes around picking up every item. Now, one really weird and interesting thing that I found out, though, is that I tried to make it so that I could have 4 running around and doing the exact same thing. Yeah, excuse the ticking. That's just so that they're constantly going off. I tried to make it so that, like, this, from this observer to this observer, with the same little trailing system as it is here, would constantly loop back and forth. It would work at first, like, it would start perfectly fine. Like, it would, like, if you put the, the minecart here, it would go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go work. But by the time that it gets to over here and it goes, oh yeah, it stops. And it didn't make any sense. So yeah. So I have to have one that constantly loops around, kind of thing. Which is very inconvenient because it's very, very slow because it's got to go through all of the other stuff. But it's fine, I guess. Anyway, so you're probably wondering, where is all of the stuff coming from? Well, they're not coming from down here, but this is going to be something, and I don't know what it's going to be yet. But this can be something. That's going to be cool. But up here, here's where all of the different kinds of farms that I'm going to have are. So here is one of the 4 quadrants. All of them are identical. But this is one of the 4. Now, this is pretty cool. So these farms are not meant for efficiency reasons. They're just meant to be a farm. So these farms are just to say, hey, you're getting beetroot. Like, live with it kind of thing, right? Like, you're just getting beetroot. Like, you're not going to get, like, the best rates. You're not going to get, like, 30 million an hour or anything like that. No, these are just so you get the beetroot. So obviously some of these farms are not active because they need entities, which I do not have. Because I'm going to get them on screen. So this one, we need villagers. So we need 5 villagers. We need 1 in the center so that all of these 4 will start trying to give him items, which will fail because they will be sent to these hopper minecarts. Which will then sort of shuffle it into the system over here, which will automatically dispense it into the pillar over here, which will allow it to go down to the water stream, which will then allow the minecart with hopper to pick it up, and we'll send it through the middle tube, which will shoot it all the way up so that we can get them. Anyway, that's what these are for. This is beetroot, carrot, potato, and wheat, obviously. And all of them are identical. And so each and every quadrant has one of each of these farms, 2 cactus farms, which means we are very much good with cactus. 2 sweet berry farms, which are not really working because obviously we need a fox, and obviously we do not have a fox. So yeah. And then we go over here, we have 2 melon farms and 2 pumpkin farms. Over here we have a kelp farm, which on the other side also has a kelp farm. And then we also have a bamboo farm, which that side also does have. And over here we have 2 sugarcane farms. Now you might be telling yourself that these farms, they don't seem like they would generate so much. So how can it fuel all of Sancturia's goods? Well, you're right. This might not be good for Sancturia. For 1 quadrant. But it's got 4 of them. And they're all identical. They're literally all identical. Because all I did is that I took one of the quadrants that I was working on, and I rotated it and put it here. Then I rotated it again and put it here. Then I rotated one more time and put it here. So again, it is the same thing, but just rotated each time. So literally, it's like literally a circle. So literally, it goes like this. Or the opposite way. But yeah. But there's no way of getting down here because technically, you don't need to go down here nearly as much. Although, one thing that I do want to do, and I want to see if I can do it when I do the changes I want to make in here, because I've realized, though, that on some parts of the way kind of thing, you'll notice, though, that these are actually clogged. And it's not just like bamboo, that's the reason, though. Like, although this does make it very difficult to say that out loud, though, that it's not bamboo, but it's bamboo, kelp, the whole works, right? That are clogging this. One of these like facing the wrong way. Because this isn't getting anything. Hold on. That's kind of weird. So, obviously, this is getting stuff. Okay. No, this isn't getting anything. That's weird. Okay, well, that's broken. I'll have to fix that. That should be dropping stuff. Unless one of these is... Unless this observer array is blocking this one. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway. Yeah, so the idea is that instead of using hoppers here, which is going to cost a lot of iron, what I was hoping to do was instead resort to using less hoppers into the middle canal over here and use water pathways. And what do I mean by that? I mean that I want to use water pathways with ice, similar to what I'm doing over here. So we use the water with ice because it shuffles them, because it actually flings them across, which is more reliable than it just using, obviously, like hoppers, right? More reliable than using hoppers. So I want to do that instead. And I don't think there's anything else over here. Like, this is just because this platform is supposed to go up, and that's what that's for. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, so pretty much I want to create a filter that filters out, or that allows all items but one item. And that's pretty much what I want to do. And that's pretty much what I want to put over here. But other than that, that's pretty much all the plans for the most part. It's mostly just like try and, I don't want to say fill in the gas, but kind of just try and make sure like everything in here has a purpose. Like making sure like these areas actually have a reason to be here. But not only that though, just like to be able to have like these different random rooms kind of thing. Yeah, this came from the when I put it down in the world. So, yeah. But yeah, also this wasn't originally moss. I did that. I went around with moss and started coloring it all over the place. Then we have different tunnels and stuff like that. I just want these to actually like do something instead of just like being here. Instead of just saying like, oh yeah, there's random tunnels. Okay, what do they do? They're supposed to do something? Like, you know what I mean? Like I want them to do something. Like there's a reason for it. Like let's say this one over here is like a little mini map room or something like that where I keep all my buried treasure maps kind of thing. And then over here is where I keep a collection of all the mobs kind of thing, or like the creeper and the zombie and stuff like that. And then over here is going to be where I keep all my axolotls kind of thing. And over here is going to be where I keep all my bees. And over here is going to be where I keep all the trapped prisoners. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to do extra cool things. But trying to figure out all these ideas kind of thing and try and put them in here with a decent block palette that I can say is really good is not really my forte. But, like, as I've shown, like, different people, like, Sancturia, they go, like, wow, this place looks really cool. It's like, yeah. You look at the underground area. Like, don't get me wrong. I feel confident showing somebody, like, this area. Like, I feel more comfortable showing somebody the underground tavern area than this. And that's the weird thing. Like, it should be the opposite. Like I shouldn't be afraid to show somebody this. But I am. And also, yeah, this is, like, really thick skulk, by the way. And the idea is, like, yeah, and then the outside looks like this. And if anybody asks, or if anybody wants to ask, this is all the 5 different kelp, or not kelp, this is all the 5 different coral blocks. All of them that are all dead. And the reason why is because the lore of this area is like, it's a base that is inside of a dead planet. But the idea is like, it didn't just go like, it didn't just float inside a dead planet and go, I'm going to rest here. No. The dead planet is actually a sort of a planetary shield barrier thing that sort of like makes it look like it's a dead planet. So when a ship goes around and looks at it and goes, oh, what a cool dead planet, and then they'll continue going around. Meanwhile, it's actually full of vegetation on the inside. So nobody is gonna start snooping around kind of thing. They're gonna look outside and they're gonna go, oh, this is like this is a dead planet, but in actuality it's like this. And I still want to put the whole coral field down here. I think I might try and look up something as a last thing to do for this. So like at the last couple days of July, I'll probably take a look at this. Just because, like, I do want to have the coral biome, because I just find that it's going to look really, really cool. Especially just having, like, the different colored corals in here. It looks really, really nice. And I think it's just going to make this thing look a lot better. Especially since it was supposed to have it. That was the whole point of it. But, yeah, it was supposed to be very colorful and very pretty. And it's not that because I don't know if I can even do it, and I don't want to do it by hand. I shouldn't say that. I was willing to do it by hand until I looked up what the coral actually does look like. I'll show you what I mean. Alright, so before I go looking for one. Yeah, so this is the Hermitcraft world, obviously. This is like a fresh save of it. And this is like obviously me testing around with just getting the thing here. Yeah, so this is what it originally was. Obviously, I changed it. Like obviously this is now one more in, obviously, and then this is no longer that the fountain thing, obviously. So yeah, so let's go take a look at something. So yeah, this is the Hermitcraft Season 9 world. I'm gonna try and see if I can find a actually, let's just go search for it /locate biome. We'll find, I think it's like lukewarm ocean. Yeah. See if I can find that coral field here. Oh, also in Sancturia, I added a simple thing to the water as well. The thing that I added is like anytime you're in the water, you actually get a little bit of regeneration. So it kind of acts like the Biomes of Plenty thing before they removed it. I don't know why they did, but I did that. Okay, where's a coral forest? Is it actually a biome? Hold on. Is it a actual thing? Like, can I just search up coral? No. Okay. But I know there is one. If I can't find it within like a decent amount of time, I'll go take a look at it. I'll go and find one for like the last 2 minutes so that I can show you what I mean. Like, I was willing to do it hands down. I was going to use colored wool for the different colors and all that. I was literally going to go do it because I think it would have looked really, really cool. And then I found out that all the different fans, I think, or something like that, are all over the place as well. And I went, you know what? No. Is it a deep lukewarm? Does it have to be deep? Have to be a deep lukewarm? Is that why? Does it have to be a deep one? Because if it has to be a deep one, that's kind of silly. Oh. Wait, this is a deep one? Oh. Okay. I didn't find a coral thing, though. Why is it that, like, I can find one easily on my own time, but yet, like, when I'm trying to get one on camera, I can't find it? I could just go to where I had Arcanics and in that one world just to show it off. As well, though. Or even just, like, just turn on the Circuitcraft server just so, like, I can show that off, too, because where I originally put Sancturia on that, which is the one of the oldest versions that I have of it, it's probably still out. I had it above a coral reef. And that's not really here. I don't know why it's not here. Oh, yeah, it's having... Okay, so now it's having issues with recording. That's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, it's having issues now, and that's kind of weird. Yeah, it's getting a little overwhelmed. And I'm getting overwhelmed because I can't find it. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go find one. Alright, so I found one. It's a very tiny one, though, but I think it's enough to get the point across, though. So this is a little coral reef. So it looks like it's in a warm ocean, not a lukewarm ocean. My bad. But yes, as you can see here, you see like this is a cool little funky blue shape. Yeah, the blue ones have these really cool looking shapes. You want to know what they also have? They have these really random different color fans. So while I could technically... Oh, I needed to use the map so I can have a better look at everything. But yeah, like while I could have just easily just use this as a sort of a placeholder kind of thing, though. And obviously I thought different colors have different shapes. Like I thought the pink one had this really cool, interesting shape. But no, all of them don't have interesting shapes. The only thing that's unique about them is the color. That's it. So yeah, that's the whole reason why I don't want to do this. That's why I would much rather just go see if I can just go through the entire thing on like a world painter or something like that, just like something just to like paint it down, and then just use that instead. So yeah, so I'll be right back once I get back into Sancturia so I can finish this off. Alright, so as a proper send-off, because yeah, I apologize for this video being so long. I honestly thought it was only going to take like 30 minutes just to show it off, and we'll go back to Cobblemon, but no, that didn't happen. So I apologize that it pretty much took up like an hour and 36 minutes of your time, pretty much. But I'm sorry for that. But yeah, but this is pretty much what I'm working on. And okay, so this doesn't take away from Cobblemon, in fact. So you can see it does give you regeneration. So this doesn't take us away from Cobblemon, because eventually when not just Cobblemon updates to the current version, I don't think it's going to update to 1.21.7, but once we get to 1.22 and Cobblemon updates to that, that's where we will have a Sancturia-like dimension specifically for each individual person. Or I might just move Sancturia in general. I don't know yet. Or I might not even do anything. I might just merge Cobblemon with Craft kind of thing and just call it one giant series. Because like this is actually... Actually, I want to see if I can figure out where that area is. I think I made an area with a command block that allows me to change my height. I want to see if I can find it. But yeah, like that would be pretty cool though. And I have a lot of ideas that I do want to put down. I know that some of them won't be able to be done, but... is it here? Oh, there you go. Yeah. I found them. Not that it was that difficult. Anyway. But yeah, like... this is going to be like the biggest thing that we're going to be able to do specifically for like not just Cobblemon though, but just for like overall, just for the channel and stuff like that. And over here is just going to be where I have my underwater stuff. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, so next time we'll definitely be doing some Cobblemon stuff. Again, I apologize for the fact that there was no Cobblemon at all in this session. But again, this actually does help out the channel at least a little bit, because not only does it show off that I'm still working on Sancturia though, but like as soon as Cobblemon updates to the current version kind of thing with all of these edits. So I can't even use this for Cobblemon, by the way, because I have some edits that are specifically for 1.21.4, plus also with the Pale Oak, I think, as well. I think a lot of the stuff is 1.21.4, so I can't actually do it anyway. But yeah, but once Cobblemon updates to the current version, we will have either Sancturia, or I might just do something interesting with whatever we have. So, yeah. So I'll see you guys next time for some more Cobblemon adventures.